Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to a fireside with Wesley Sessenwein, CEO and founder of PayShepherd. Thank you for coming today, and I want to give a big thank you to Wes for joining us to talk about PayShepherd. So, a quick housekeeping item: we are recording this webinar, and we'll make the recording available after the event. We'll also be taking select questions from the audience throughout the fireside. So if you have any questions for myself or Wes, please put them in the chat, and I'll do my best to get to them. At the Funding Catalyst team, we've been working with Wes over the past couple of months to navigate what non-dilutive funding opportunities may be available to him. And we simply find Wes to be a phenomenal founder to work with, and that PayShepherd is a very interesting venture in a traditionally not so innovative space. So Wes, welcome to the show. And if you want to start by just giving us a 3-minute pitch on PayShepherd, we'd love to hear
it. Sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I guess in a 3-minute pitch, I'll probably start with a little bit about my background because it'll give you some context to how we ended up here. So right out of university, I immediately got into heavy industrial construction. Always had a fascination with not just watching things grow, but watching things grow and then come to kind of an end, like a project, for example. So immediately got into heavy industrial construction and out west. So things you'll find like gas plants, refinery expansions, power generation facilities, pipelines. My experience has always been on the contractor side of the table, and just my feedback on what it's like to run a construction business is it's like incredibly complex, and I have nothing but respect for contractors and all that they go through. Like you got to look after safety, quality, schedule, and cost as a contractor, and more often than not, the paper-based processes around billing often come at the end of the job and are the last thing that gets the attention. So, why did we start PayShepherd? Well, at the time, our vision was to start an invoice auditing service. So similar to what you would see with like a PwC or an Ernst & Young, maybe even a McKinsey, where you come in after a project is done and start testing some of the invoices to find out if they meet like the contractual terms. So we started our business in 2018, and in downtown Calgary, one of our first customers was a massive midstream client, and we'd go to their office and take boxes and boxes and boxes of invoices, load them up on dolly, and wheel them back to our office around the corner, and just start spreading them out, looking at where potentially was there a breakdown in compliance in the contract, or where did the contractor over or underbill their customer. So it wasn't uncommon in like, a 2-week sitting to find hundreds of thousands of dollars in like contract non-compliant billing. So, like any good management consultant at the time, we would make a shiny deck and turn it around to the customer and say, hey, FYI, we've identified, X hundreds of thousands of dollars, and here's the, the areas where the leakage happened. So Ben, I'm going to turn it back to you and ask you, like, what do you think their initial reaction was when I would show them that?
Oh, I imagine that's jaw-dropping, finding 6 figures of found money. Like I feel like that's pretty unheard of, right?
Yeah. You know what? That's an interesting answer. So the reality was, and what we kept running into over and over and over was, okay, good to know. We knew that there was, a possibility of leakage here, but we didn't realize it was at that scale. Now, having said that, this work that you're looking at the invoicing for, it happened a year ago, and the contractor has now been paid for 10 months. So if I dare go back to the contractor to ask for a credit, it has the potential of damaging the relationship. So, it often was met with, well, just kind of keep it in our back pocket and talk to the contractor at the next contract negotiation. So it was fairly anticlimactic. So, what's the pitch on PayShepherd? Well, we decided, how do we take what we were doing manually a year after the fact automate it and put it within minutes of the work happening. So today we're deployed in like heavy industrial manufacturing facilities where they spend a lot of time and money on contracted services. And we built algorithms that flag in real time when any billing from contractors don't meet the contract compliance checks baked in. So it's a real-time audit validation platform that helps keep the relationship between the contractors and their customers on the level and very productive from a billing perspective.
Very nice. Well, I can see, innumerable industries that could use this. Why did you guys start in pulp and paper? Why is that kind of your first rollout sector of the automation platform itself?
Yeah, pulp and paper is a special industry. There's great people that are looking to make meaningful change to their business, and it's a pain point that's very well known. So, for example, your average pulp mill in North America might spend anywhere from $10 to $50 million a year on contracted services. So that's a whole lot of paper and Excel sheets that get exchanged, and there's a pain that's very well known within the facility. So having the conversations are just very easy, and that's why we've selected pulp and paper as one of the first verticals that we've gone after.
Very nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's truly incredible the nuances that I've seen in your business around just how, kind of like you mentioned, how it differs and how the money flows really has been totally eye-opening to me as someone who has no experience in the not management consulting, but in the management of a mass number of consultants, how a small problem like one contractor overbilling by a small amount compounds to insane levels when you have 1,000 contractors.
So, and I often tie it back to, imagine that you hired somebody to come do yard work at your house, and they brought 5 people in, and you said that you would pay them all hourly for the work. Well, you've got 2 choices. One, you can take their word for it that they had the people there, and or you can stand out and kind of watch and make sure that everybody that's being billed to you was actually there helping out around the house.
So, given that you can, your piece of software, Payshepard, can enact such rigor on the way that a business operates right now, how has that been perceived in an industry that is, traditionally somewhat tech skeptical? That it's 2022 at this point, and I imagine there's a lot of your industry that's still using pen and paper, or at the very best, like Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, great question. How I'd answer that is there has been a digital shift over the last 5 to 10 years. But like many other industries, it has really accelerated throughout COVID, where you had to eliminate a lot of the face-to-face contact, face-to-face exchange of billing information. And it's just, it from other portfolio companies that you work with, that it's really accelerated the adoption of digital tech. So, in any, early stage company's career, you see both luck and hard work pay off. And so for a lot of, SaaS-based enterprise software companies, we're all benefiting from the adoption of digital technology. Absolutely.
Has there been any secret sauce, aside from the phenomenal value prop that, I can recover, double-digit percentages of lost revenue or of overspent contractor spend simply with this piece of software that's relatively plug and play? I mean, what have you found as kind of the secret sauce to get these customers on board? When you're in that position of having to not only present them with the value prop of your software, but also in a way be teaching them that software can be a better solution in general than manual tasks, than the way it's been done, quote unquote. What's your
So
special sales tactic there?
it's, honestly, it's our secret sauce. I shared at kind of the top of the call that my background has been exclusively on the contractor side of the table. So I understand, and for that matter, everybody on our team at one point has worked in a construction company and a maintenance company, and we all understand the pain that happens with the manual process on their end. So it's part of the special sauce that we bring, or our IP is being like, deep domain experts and on both sides of the equation. So for contractors or the facilities they're working for. So we have an empathetic approach. We understand that everybody, wants to bring their best possible equation to the table, and we enable that to happen. And, we've assembled a team of subject matter experts that I believe has given us the right to become thought leaders in this space. It's years in the trenches, that have earned us that right. So that's really what we bring.
Very nice. And how about you? Being quite familiar with Payshepard and just how quickly you guys are growing. How about you personally? How are you keeping up? What's if you could give a one piece of advice to other founders, or simply this is what works for you, how do you scale yourself with your company?
So first, under having an understanding wife is the first part of the equation, but then really having a kick-ass founding team that is able to outgrind anybody. I'll back that up by saying we also have investors that support the vision of the business, and I think it's one of the things we've done right is bring on institutional investors like Thin Air Labs and bring them to the table that just come with support and guidance beyond the capital. So I'd say it's not necessarily how am I doing it, it's how we've kind of put together a mini ecosystem around us that allows us to execute essentially.
Yeah, that's totally fair, and that really aligns with the ethos at Thin Air Labs. It is about understanding that the founder is the keystone of this endeavor, but if you just surround them with all of the resources that they may need, so that they have them there to readily draw on, it's much the same way that you don't have to you're not injecting stimulants into one person. You're surrounding them with the right people, the right resources, the right everything that they can then draw on. So I love that. I love it. So in building Payshepard, you chose to invest some of your own capital. You also had a focus on grant funding and early revenue. Like you guys have, you're not an Uber, right? You guys are focusing on actually building revenue from the ground up, and not relying on billions and billions of investor cash as you search for a sustainable business model, right? How did you think strategically in how all those pieces play together? For other founders out there that are wondering, should I be dead set on revenue day one? Should I wait a couple of years and essentially rely on friends and family and an angel round, or should I spend all of my time getting a bunch of grants to help me get there? Like, what's your take on how to balance the three?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of your other portfolio companies, Athenian, the CEO, Adrian, has been working with us for a number of years now. And his number one rule when you think about product is request cash. So ask cash from your early customers as validation. If somebody's willing to pay, you probably are solving a pain that's significant enough to invest in. And I really do believe that. So, what's the mix? Well, in early days, you really have to kind of put your hands on anything you can. So we started off with small, micro voucher grants. And as you suggested, personal capital to the table. We actually got quite far without our first, outside investment round, which has been really helpful. And then I'll just say that, the mix of non-dilutive funding, and obviously you want the most non-dilutive funding that you can get. We can go in kind of later to what the challenges might be there, but from an outside capital perspective, the people that you bring in can literally be the difference. And by people, I mean the investors, either angels or institutional investors, can be the difference between like growing at 20% annually or 20x growth annually. So it's a matter of really making sure that you've spend the time working with prospective investors to find those that fit with the vision and the culture of your company.
And what was, if you had to pick one thing, what's a key green flag of an investor that's a good fit?
Communication and a clear process.
Okay.
Yeah, that I like. Those are the two things that were really important to me. So understanding, where we are on the journey together, and kind of having open lines of communication. No, emails being unanswered for 2 weeks, and so those are the two things that I value the most.
Very nice. Now, I'd be remiss to not dive into the non-dilutive aspect of this just a little bit. What specifically caused you to kind of to reach out to Funding Catalyst to offer support on the non-dilutive side? What was the impetus there?
Yeah, I mean, preservation of the cap table is incredibly important as a founder. So, any money that you can get, and there's support programs out there, of which all of them, without having to give up a piece of your cap table is super attractive. So, it is one of many levers that you can pull. And how do I say this? I believe that it can be a dangerous lever for a founder to pull. Like early days at Payshepard, we got distracted by the possibility of a federal grant, and we started, diverting our effort from building the product and talking to the prospects towards building applications and building out schedules and roadmap to satisfy the needs of a program that we really didn't know that much about. So going in blind is super dangerous because it takes your eye off the prize. So, what was it that really attracted me to Funding Catalyst? Well, I'd love to have this capacity in-house, but it doesn't make sense at our stage of business, and well into the future, it won't make sense. So having somebody that can spend time with you, understand, and kind of map you to the programs that exist, and then help you think and work through them is incredibly helpful, because you don't want to build your business to fit federal or provincial funding requirements. You want to find the ones that fit how you're building your business. And that is a very complicated journey to travel alone. So this is like, the engagement within our labs has been a very clean business decision. And, one of the only ROIs that I can confidently say is close to that of Payshepard. The cost to engage and then the outcome was significant.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that. And you touched on something very important there. That's the pervasive across so many ventures willingness of founders to divert their business to chase some non-dilutive capital. I have this example that I like to use of, you build, let's say you build low Earth orbit rockets, right? But you see a grant from the government of Canada, from the Canadian Space Agency, saying, "Hey, we're giving $2 million to any venture that can get us to the moon." And you think, "Oh my goodness! Like I'm so close. I already build rockets. This is just building a slightly different type of rocket, and maybe I can get $2 million of non-dilutive capital towards my business." And then you sign yourself up for this, and by some miracle, you make it through the process, and now now you've signed yourself up for a decade-long $10 million R&D project that is totally distracting you from your initial niche that you found some product market fit in. And we see that so often, and it's not a criticism of the founders at all. Like I absolutely get it. Money is the lifeblood of your venture, and if someone's offering you free money, well, it's really, really hard to say no. But that's one of the things that I'm quite proud of that we do here is we very carefully that filter through everything that's out there and say, okay, here are the ones that aren't going to pull you off piste, right? These are the ones that are actually going to spin your flywheel in the same direction and accelerate you in where you want to go, and not where some government agency wants you to go.
100%. And that guidance is key for sure.
Oh, I love it. What's next for Payshepard, and what are some of the big hurdles you guys are looking to get over? In the next year or 2 years.
Yeah, talent will be the biggest hurdle for sure. So we'll be multiplying the size of our team over the next 6 months, and access to top tier talent. There's a lot of competition out there, in the prairies, but then, even globally now that the borders are kind of broken down. So telling our story, attracting the best talent will be our next frontier. And specifically, one of the outcomes that we had worked on was a grant that was approved for a commercialization associate. And specifically, we're looking to hire a growth marketer who needs to be sitting in the province of Alberta.
Amazing. Just teeing off of that, what's your general commentary on the talent pool in Alberta?
It's growing, but so is the demand side is growing, at an equal, if not greater pace. So there's challenges for sure. And I think that means all great things for people in Alberta. But there's definitely a talent shortage. I think anybody can confirm that for you. And it's exciting. And it's, as you solve one problem, another problem pops up. So there's some great things going on to build the pool of, great talent here in Alberta right now. Amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I see many of the same things, and it's a good problem to have. I think it's a really tangible signal of, we have these visionaries that have been saying for a long time that Alberta is going to grow into this phenomenal tech mecca. But a lot of time it's people that are they're the visionaries that are painting this bright and beautiful picture, and it's aspirational in a way. And now we're starting to see some of the growing pains, and it's a good signal. It's a really good signal. I love it. It's less useful when you're trying to hire key talent into your organization, but kudos to you for that you started here, you're still growing here, and it sounds like you're dedicated to finding the right person here in Alberta.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Wes, thank you so much for joining us for this chat, and letting me pick your brain for a half an hour. Aside from this one key hire that you're looking for, is there anything that you'd like to put out there into the ecosystem, into the universe of requests, or a plug for something you're doing? If you just want people to sign up for your product, here's a minute or two of you to take over the air.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So over the next quarter, we'll be hiring for a variety of distributed roles. Preference is if these people are in Alberta and if they have kind of any connection to heavy industry, So software engineers, UI, UX specialists, product managers, account executives with, enterprise sale experience, and customer success managers. These are the people that'll help us scale our business. And I'm interested in having any of these conversations. So you can reach me by email. I'm sure, Ben, you can include my link somewhere, or my email address, and then find me on LinkedIn. I'm quite active there, so I'd love to hear from you, and keep an eye on our website.
Amazing. Well, absolutely, Wes. I will, right now, I'll put up your email on the screen right here, in case anybody wants to reach out to you directly. And yes, of course, check out Wes on Wesley Sessenwein on LinkedIn. Wes, again, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and thanks everybody for joining us for this fireside. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.